June, fifth board meeting for the Oregon Governmental Council.
It's not like there's something that ever wanted to, you know, agree on people.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Let's make sure we have all of our friends here. Did we,
He said he was gonna.
okay, very good. Okay, so,
So I think the first order of business is to do a quick introduction, so I want to start. Where there, Kimberly?
Kimberly Banner, Executive Coordinator for COIC.
Tom Lang, Fiscal Administrator for COIC.
Matt Earl, this is my first board meeting, a newly appointed board member, representing the unemployed and underemployed community representative seat.
do you wanna say anything about your background? How long you've been in town for, been Central Oregon?
I love talking about myself. Did that.
Yeah.
So, I own and operate a recruiting and staffing firm. We opened it in 2016. Here in Bend, we serve Central Oregon. We talk to about 150 people every week and conduct multiple interviews and work with dozens of organizations, helping them recruit and staff for positions on their team in common industries throughout Central Oregon. Prior to that, I worked with Geldwin for 15 years, which is a large window and door manufacturing company. And prior to that, I grew up in Bend in the 1990s. So I'm a product of the local schools and local economy. And both my parents have been small business owners and involved with nonprofits throughout their entire career. So it's great to be here.
Welcome,
Thank
super
you.
happy to have you.
Well, welcome, Matt. Thank you very much for joining us. Tony DeBone, Deschutes County Commissioner.
Fairfax City Elder Council.
Mike Riley, City Councilor Ben.
Tammy Bainey, Executive Director.
Seth Taylor, Jefferson County Commissioner.
Susie Hermrick, Crook County Commissioner.
Cheryl Pellerin, City of Sisters Counselor.
Bob Townsend, Cascades East Transfer Director. Marv Sumner, Counselor, Prineville.
Mr. Abby, and I'm a counselor for the city of Joyce. Dennis Curtis, and I'm counselor for city of Pine.
John Nielsen, Brooklyn City Council.
Russ W., Public.
Hi, Russ.
Dana Dunlap. I work for COIC as the Adult Education and Training Manager.
Ryan Beltasuso, COIC, I work under the WorkSource spread.
Brian Huff, WorkSource Ben, COIC, Employment Counselor, Reentry Specialist.
Great, and I think oh yeah, and then online.
Hi there, Christine McConnell, Deschutes County seat for outdoor and tourism and outdoor recreation. Thank you.
That's everybody online. I think first thing we're gonna do the service.
Yes, so Ryan, please join us.
Sure.
And while you're getting set, Tom, I might just given the dynamics, if you wanna, I think you're okay if you just wanna stay there and I pull this out and then we have extra room over here. Is that good? Okay, all right.
Well, I'll go ahead and start. Like I just introduced myself, I am Ryan. It's a privilege and honor to be addressing the board this evening. I do work on Dana Dunlap's team out of the WorkSource Redmond. I was asked, I heard you guys had a budget meeting tonight. Maybe not the most exciting stuff for everybody here, but I was asked to give a success story because I want to show you how the work that you do translates in the community and on our teams. And with this story, as any good story, there's a little bit of a plot twist. We got to keep it exciting. So let's get into it. Back in March, a gentleman named Tito walked into the WorkSource Redmond while I was working at the front desk. He told me quickly he wanted to pursue commercial truck driving. Great, it's a standard training that we do a lot of. I booked him for the following morning. The next day, Tito shows up and he shares with me that he's been working at a local warehouse here, but he's feeling stuck. Limited growth, low pay, rising living costs, and a growing family with a new baby. He was receiving food benefits from the state, hoping for a way forward where he could earn his own keep and stop relying on entitlement programs. He did share with me the class he was targeting started in just 2 weeks, which made me just a little bit nervous, and here's why. There's a lot to complete before you go into CDL school. There's 3 DMV tests that you have to do: general knowledge, air brakes, combination vehicles. You'll need a DOT physical, you'll need a DOT drug screen, you'll need to complete online entry-level driver training. And because he was food stamps eligible, he would be co-enrolled in 2 programs at the same time. So in addition to meeting with me, he's also having to meet with our colleagues at the STEP program. And for those of you who don't know, anyone who's on SNAP benefits can participate in a program called STEP. It's a SNAP training and employment program, and there's some tuition assistance and some wraparound services included there. So yeah, a lot of work with a short time period. Also, he hadn't started studying for his commercial learner's permit. Our year-end funding was starting to get depleted. I was worried whether we'd have time, and the funding by the time he went and got the permit, if we're even gonna have money by the time he comes back. And the last hurdle was, he thought that the training was on weekends. It wasn't, it was Monday through Friday, and it was directly conflicting with his current job. So we talked it through, and I prepped him that this might not work, might not be the right time, but I did encourage him to push hard on studying and securing his learner's permit as quickly as possible. We had 2 weeks, which is much tighter than I like. And co-enrollment with the Oregon Employment Department with our partners adds a little bit of extra work. After the dust settles, I gave him study resources and tips. We started to work together. My confidence in our ability to actually make this happen increased tenfold. I saw his drive, I saw his desire to help his family, and I really wanted to see him succeed. We also secured permission from his employer for him to attend training and return to work after. One major barrier down. 1 week before class, and I promised you a plot twist, another amazing prospective student enters my life, Alejandro. Alejandro was a lot like Tito. He was referred to me by Lillian, who is a partner with the STEP program in the WorkSource office. I gave Alejandro the same disclaimers, but a little bit stronger. I said, funding's tight, deadlines are tight, a lot of heavy lifting, no guarantees, but he wanted it. Alejandro was underemployed, working weekends, not getting enough hours, struggling with bills, housing insecurity, and cultural barriers. He shared with me that he lives in a shed on a friend's property outside of town. Like Tito, he was targeting the exact same class, but now it's just 1 week to pull everything together instead of 2. So half the time. Would you believe that I had hair at that moment? I lost it after. Despite the time crunch, both were incredibly driven. We threw everything we had at it: coaching, support, encouragement. In just days, both completed their learner's permits, submitted full scholarship applications, and were approved. Just like I had hoped, but I couldn't make happen, they did find each other in class, and they became friends, often staying late to help other students with paperwork and driving maneuvers. No surprise, both passed their CDL exams on their first attempt. Tito landed a CDLA job at a Florida airport and moved back to be closer to family. He was excited to return to Florida's active electronic music scene, where he also enjoys DJing and producing music as a hobby. Alejandro went on to secure an over-the-road truck driving job just like he had always dreamed, and he is doing well and thriving. Both are earning living wages far beyond what they were making just a month or so earlier, and both left a lasting impression, one that reminded me of how powerful a small human investment can be. We invested $3,400 per person from P10 funding to make this possible. And this afternoon, I did some basic calculations, and I calculated that at an average wage of $25 an hour, they were both placed higher, but we're just gonna go with the average. Oregon recoups that investment in about 3 to 4 months. Workforce development isn't just changing lives, it's building skills, and delivering real returns for our community. When we invest in people, we strengthen our economy, we build community relationships, we create new opportunities, and we make our city stronger and more prosperous for everyone. Before closing, I do want to note that it takes a village, and this was truly a team effort. I'd like to thank Nate and Lillian from the Oregon Employment Department for being amazing colleagues who consistently advocate for their clients and serve with class, finesse, compassion, and kindness. Thank you again for your time and for allowing me to share this story with you tonight.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ryan. Love it. Yes. What we get to do. So exciting.
Consent agenda for the motion to approve. Including the minutes of the school reports, which are coming soon, and then department. You want to comment?
Sure. So for those of you that have been tracking alongside us, Michelle is continuing to be out. And so we are focusing on getting the budget completed and to you, which we are this evening, as well as getting caught up on some back of the house things in her absence. And so we will be providing the update of all of the fiscal reports of the July report, which will be a written report. Should you decide to not have a board meeting in July, which is the last agenda item on this agenda. So more to come on that. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We do anticipate that Michelle will be back mid-July, but again, we don't really know at this point, but we are just creating space for her and anticipating around mid-July. And I've not heard of any other, the minutes to be pulled for edits or anything as well.
And I skipped over the public comment, we'll go back.
Oh, yeah.
I see on the last meeting that I made a motion to approve the minutes as presented, so I might as well go ahead and do the same. For those.
Consistency is.
Just be consistent.
That's
Yep.
leadership, yeah.
There you go.
You have a second? A second. Second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, that's, so, do we have, I know we have one person, Russ, is here, from the public tonight, but I don't think you wanted to make a comment.
I do not, thank you very much.
Do we have anybody else that's here to make public comments or online?
And I would just say, Russ, I hope you're grabbing a little bit of dinner as well. It's over there for you as well. Good. All right. Just in time for that new committee you all just started talking
Yes.
about.
I apologize for being tardy.
You are right on time. Nice to. Nice to see you.
That's my whole, my day.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm proficient.
Yeah, there's the new logo, the old logo.
Yeah, I think it's the right show.
Okay.
Oh, my. Thank you, everyone. I just have it's not gonna be the normal long-winded, funny speech, and I just have a couple quick updates. Maybe. As Kimberly's preparing that, so the first one is I just want to give a quick update on all the initiatives that are going on. We have a lot of activity and just. I know I presented about it last time and things, but just want to keep the board updated on them. Or next slide, so I can really, but the main ones are on Monday, we started an expansion. On the bed fix routes, instead of before it was 7:30 AM to 5:30 PM, now we're 6 AM to 7:30, which is really exciting. Hopefully impacting a lot of people in their opportunities to get to work. I know for me, I'm able to ride the bus to work every day now, so that's nice. In conjunction with that, Tri-Transit Week is what we have activities every day. We've been not just in Bend, but in Redmond and as well. Just trying to really urge people to use the bus. We've seen an uptake in ridership on one of the bus routes this afternoon I was on. There was actually people having to stand because the seats were full, which was the first time I've seen that since I've been here. So nice to see that, just trying to get new riders, get the word out. We have, some prizes for giving away, some contests. We have various activities. We have pizza tonight at Hawthorne Strategic when the board meeting was here, just to ensure you guys didn't take advantage of that. But tomorrow for the 7:30, I think most of you got an email today from me, 7:30 to 9. Tomorrow Tammy's gonna be in the dunk tank and a few things like that she doesn't know about. No dunk tank, okay, yeah, what a ripoff. Yeah, sorry about that.
Did
But
Bob want his job?
yeah. Am I in the budget? But
What made that motion?
yeah, I mean, just a real exciting week for it, just
Yeah.
seeing a lot of people having a lot of good stories that are so thankful. The first time, like today, on one bus ride, there were 8 people, 6 of which had never ridden the bus before, and then that was their first time, or on one of the routes I was on. So it's just exciting, whether it sticks or not, we're gonna have to continue to improve services, but that's exciting. We've got schedule holders all updated on every stop, or out of 300 stops in Bend except 60, which will be done tomorrow. The signs, and we'll talk about that a little bit with the logo. We, as soon as we finalize the logo, we have funding for 300 new big flagboard signs above every bus stop in Bend with the new name of the route instead of a random number that means nothing. to anybody, and so that all exciting, the benches and shelters have been ordered. It's not for every route, it's gonna be about 30 this year, another 30 next year, and we'll keeping doing that, but that's exciting, and like I said, we've started that. We're still on pace for Route 8, July 14th, and potentially the airport one, it's still, whether it's July 14th, August 1st. We're just working through some driver training there and issues just to make sure that we can stretch ourselves. Transit pass introduction still on. We'll be talking about that more over the next few months. We're still targeting October for fare implementation. We'll be in front of the board here in August with a public meeting and looking for input and final approval on that. And then we're on pace. It's being appraised right now, but the North Hub property in Bend that we've been working on, that we have a majority of the funding through the STIP discretionary. And so we're on pace to hopefully have that acquisition in process by the end of the year. So just a few things, just wanted to make sure everybody was still aware of a lot of activities.
Bob, if we could pause
Yeah.
on that one really quickly, see, that's a bit of a game changer for our organization in being able to co-locate some of our offices in the Bend area. Right now, we are in 2 different locations. We own the Hawthorne Station building. And that is one that we've mentioned to you that it either will part with us or we part with it, and we're hoping we part with it before it starts part with us. And so that property is of value that will also assist us in being able to move some of that equity into the other property. It is required that we have transit-related services at the North Hub. And so we are in early discussions of talking about what that would look like with other partners. For those of you that are familiar with transit-oriented development, allows for walkable areas. There could be some medical, there could be maybe childcare, there's obviously a lot of employment centers out in that area too. So that's on the horizon. So a lot more in that, those 5 words, to come before the board, just as we map that out.
Yes, thanks for that add-on, and this goes in line, we're looking at downtown hub improvements in city of Bend. We're looking at potential partnership with the hospital, which we already have for a hub. Finding a west side location and a south side partner as well. And as these come online, it'll be changing the configuration of how we run our fixed route. More than likely, some of those changes won't be until 2027.
That's north side of Bend, right?
Yes, correct, and
So, yeah. I'm
right in
just
front of
thinking
Lowe's.
the Central Oregon Tri-County people that are here, I'm just getting a sense of place, yeah.
Yeah, the north.
North of Bend, not north of Redmond or.
Yeah, and what's nice about that, is that it'll shorten the Bend Redmond commute. We can turn that bus around, which, has a lot of usage now. It'll improve operating costs there too, and make a better connection, all the way to Warm Springs, because certainly we have people using it from Warm Springs to Bend as well. Next slide. So just quick on the legislative update, we talked about these before, but I just wanted to let the board know where we're at. Signed a letter at our last meeting that was sent to all our state senators and representatives regarding adding some language pertaining to this around allowing the counties to select us as their designate us as the QB. We have a couple local representatives taking this on. We presented it to the initial transportation committee as a potential addendum to any, or add-on now, since there's still not a draft bill under the new committee, but any transportation bill. So we're hopeful that's still going. We got good feedback from everyone so far. There's really no one opposed to it. It's really just about the opposition to the transportation bill as a whole. So we'll see where that goes. Just as where we're at transportation bill, payroll tax wise, current tax is 0.1. OTA has been pushing for 0.5. The initial transportation committee recommended 0.18. The Republican proposal was to keep it at 0.1, but use those funds for highway maintenance. If you read the Argonian or some of the articles about the revised transportation committee, the last couple days, they're back to 0.5, 0.3, depending on who gets interviewed. Yet, that doesn't have full buy-in from even you know, the Democrats or Republicans, so who knows where that lies, but certainly we're keeping track of that. The budget is unrelated to that. We're fine for funding regardless of what happens this go around. Now in 2 years, that'll certainly have a significant impact depending on if it stays the same, increases, or what rate it increases at, but just want to keep everyone posted on that. Now, so, a lot of fun's been made of this just because I'm an engineer and art is not my strong point, and I've struggled with roundabout art over the last 15 years of getting to finality on some of those as well, but in all due seriousness, so we've, you know, you have these swag bags, we were out of old logo stuff. And we ordered stuff for Tritran, you know, they're just stuff to hand out, give people, and so we're like, well, we might as well try it black and white, do a couple different color things to give it out. The start of this week, and we started last week, just to get as much input as possible, so. I know it looks like I'm really probing on the final one, but we did have conversations at the last board meeting that the art was generally acceptable, and it was really about finalizing a color. So these are the final two options, and again, obviously we took feedback from the board through email at our meetings. All staff has weighed in, there's a wide variety of staff, we presented at a lot of public meetings, so we do have a lot of feedback. We have additional feedback. The pins in the orange, staff generally preferred the orange logo border as a you know, correlation to the old logo that had a lot of orange. So what you see is really we're down, I'm hopeful, to two options. Obviously, we can go whichever direction you'd like, or if we're not happy and want to go you know, through another process, and I'm generally okay with that if that's what you guys want. But what you have here on the left.
Yeah,
No,
go a different direction.
there's no part of me okay with that, but certainly I respect an elected body. But so on the left is the orange border, the top example is on the, yes, that's a definition. The top example is just on all our new buses are gonna be gray, and so just showing an example. On the letterhead, it'll be that, we won't always put Cascades East Transit on it, it'll just depend on the where we use it. Sometimes it'll just be the circle with CT, sometimes it'll be the border, and then on the right is this lighter gray color, which is nice as well, has another text color there, and so certainly you can weigh in on that. As I said, the general preference that we've taken feedback on, or overwhelmingly, I guess, the last few weeks is of these two logos, people like the orange one better. I certainly like how the pins look. The orange is a little wider on there. And as I said before, we're at logo, which, you know, this is a little more complex than we'd actually want for embroidery and things, but it's doable, manageable. It's not overly expensive. Ours is actually very expensive currently because that's actually 13 different colors. But it can be black and white. It can be put on a bus. It can be all these things. That is what a logo should be. And then as we've talked about, there's a separate side to marketing on the buses, and right, we've been investigating that. I showed you a couple AI examples, but we're really leaning towards, and we're not finalizing that, but that's where we get creative, and we're leaning towards just how photographs can be printed so well and put on wraps for the buses, that our recommendation of while will probably be just significant Central Oregon photos on different buses, you know, Bachelor, Three Sisters, Deschutes River, Smith Rock, all these different actual pictures instead of artwork that actually may look a little bit better and actually may be cheaper for us to produce as well instead of paying an artist. So we'll have more to come on that, but I just want to offer that as, hey, this is one piece of it, and then some of the marketing will fall behind the scenes. So the timing of it, and certainly as I, you know, all kidding aside, you know, support the board's opinion, but we do have to make a decision here on some of we've got quite a few new buses in, we haven't wrapped them anything, we don't want to spend money on the old logo and then put a new one, so they're just only gray out there. We have, you know, the signs, and we're updating how we do schedules, we're updating the webpage, and so it is the right time to have a new logo. Not that we can't put a placeholder in and say, hey, we're still working on the final, and not make t-shirts and things like that. But we do have some of those needs, and so that's why the timing is right for me from that perspective.
So your ask right now is for the board to give a thumbs up on one of the options.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean we can't make a couple little changes that's graphically, but really we're saying that the inside graphic is fine if we prefer orange over the light gray, or we prefer light gray over the orange. But I would like to be able to generally switch to this as soon as possible. And again, budget wise, we're not taking old wraps off right now because some of them have been on a long time and it takes, you think you could just rip the stickers off, but I've done it myself. And it's very time consuming, but when we have preventative maintenance, when we're doing an oil change or things like that, we'll probably pull it. Does that mean it'll have new logos right away? No, it still says Cascade East Transit on the side of every bus or the front, so we'll have that logo, and as we have funding and have timing, we'll update the wraps, and some of them may just be big window stickers at first until we figure out our graphic display.
So how people feel about this? Can I just see a thumbs up if you support number one?
Uh-oh.
Is there a three? Is there a choice three door?
No, there was a choice three, but I didn't like it, so I removed it. Yeah. It was black. It just didn't work on some of the configurations.
How about Christine, did you have a strong opinion about it?
Well, I'm kind of biased with the orange because our logo that we use for the sunburst is similar orange, but I just like how it pops more off the gray. But I was gonna ask if also we have like three different actually four different colors of our logo just in case of the layout of where we're going to use it. So like with the gray circle around it too, that might need to be utilized for different backgrounds. So just a suggestion, like if everyone agrees with this graphic, but having use for different uses of the border around it, you might need to use that sometimes. Or are you trying to just get down to one color, Bob? Around, if there's gonna be a border.
I'm hiding my poker face, which is a good sign to all of you to play me in poker because I'm not ready.
I can't see it.
Orange and gold, I don't just see orange, so I
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't like that one personally.
Okay,
And I wondered if on the white buses, if you could have like the gray behind it. I don't like how the option two, bottom one would look on a white bus, but if you had the gray square behind it, I think it could look nice.
oh, I see what you're saying. We are moving to all of our new fleet as we go into life, we
Yeah.
don't, and then we squeeze it at the end of that
Yeah.
life. And then we
Yeah,
get a new one, but they'll be all gray. So Bob, do you want to hit on what you would do? for-
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna say we're waiting on the legislature, but it doesn't seem right if they cut transit funding for us to go back and redo all the white buses until they go out of service. I don't think we'll have to make, so more than like we just ordered 15 buses based on grants, they'll all be gray. I'm leaning towards just pulling graphics off the white ones and probably not putting new ones on unless they're, someone's like, hey, we'll volunteer and do it, and it makes economical sense, but at the rate we're going, it's probably not. We have 80 buses. It does add up after a while.
Did the marketing team that you were working with have a strong opinion about these two options?
Yeah, they like the orange
They
one
like
from an artistic perspective and matching, but they, had some preference towards the old one too, so, but, they like the variation in color to make it pop on a letterhead and things like that, right?
What I hear Christine also offering is that we would need to change it if we're working on something and it's incongruent with the color scheme of something, we would change it anyway.
orange polo shirt.
Yeah, right, exactly, exactly, yeah.
More than likely, that's why the black or the graphics are, and some of the stuff you have is just the black and white version, because that's, if we're buying a hydro blast for $1, I don't wanna pay 90 cents for color, I just wanna pay 2 cents for the black and white, so that's how our shirts will be, and things are mostly black and white, or they could be white on a black shirt, orange on a.
Black and white.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I hate to be, one that throws this out there, but, or I guess I, doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly.
He's throwing it out anyway.
Flexible, I mean, you can go with the orange and go, this is our standard logo, but then, yeah, I mean, shoot, if there's a bus that it makes sense to go a black and white even, or just, it's like we have, you have the logo set, right? It's just now a color scheme. And
Yeah,
so
I
it's
mean,
like, hey, this is gonna be our number one choice, but I would just say, be flexible on what equipment you buy, on what logos you wanna put things on. Don't hinder yourself too much.
No, and that's preferred, right? I mean, really what you're approving on a logo is what's on our letterhead. It's gonna be the orange, or then it would be the orange on letterhead and the orange on the website, because usually they're white backgrounds. And then to your point, you either pick black or white, or having the flexibility, the gray, the inside stays the same, that would be economical for us too. So we're not always paying extra for an extra border, because really you can have the inside circle if there's, depending on what, like if you put it in a round back window of a bus, you don't need to layer it again, you know, it's really just what's on the inside graphic.
And just one more little thing. Just, you know, as your thought process on the wrapping and everything, can we get rid of Bachelor and put Mount Jefferson in there? I mean, let's just.
We certainly can have a Mount Jefferson. Mount Bachelor gives us about 600,000 years, so I'll probably still have a couple.
All right.
We'll add a Mount Jefferson, but I think that'll, you know, and we'll present some of those things so people, but I'd like to say we have enough buses that just, you know, the Smith Rock bus would be the one going between Redmond and Madras, but sometimes it may end up on Lapine because we're short, but I think definitely having some geographically themed buses, whether they're serving the south end or the north, is probably, you know, something everybody would like to see regarding this, and so we'll have examples of those, and we do think it came up because it is going to be more cost economical than paying artists to help with different renderings and things.
Or if we gotta scramble for a geographical thing for Crook County.
Yeah, some of it
Maybe
though
we
is
can
like,
have some bucking horses for the.
well, some of it is like we talked about in the Pineville example, we have a list and it's just even the roundabout, the picture would have to be done right, so it didn't look like just a roundabout, but it was the, you know, the decorations in the upper roundabout and stuff were, you know, central to Pineville too.
Has there been any discussions about selling to organizations that might be interested in advertising on it?
Yeah, so we have a really old advertising policy, but just like anyone over the last 5 years, just with, you know, this came up when I was at Mountain View, right, is, well, NOSR wanted to advertise that, you know, then that we sold them a board, then everybody came included, and that board got taken down, and then they look into it like, well, there's no firm advertising policy, it's just whatever. We don't have a good one, we're gonna be redoing it. Right now, we're focusing on selling ads to safety related things. We have some grants with ODOT, with the MPO and things like that, and some radio stations, because then they trade us airtime. Beyond that, we're kind of on pause until we can bring back an advertising policy to this group to review.
Our workaround is that it needs to be in partnership so that it keeps us out of any political or any other areas in which we may not want to have things on the vehicles, which puts.
I mean, I can have a photo of myself running for office on.
Yeah.
But that's what happens though, you know, somebody's like, hey, here's $1,000, I wanna advertise for this, and you're like, I don't agree in that, then it becomes the board. So we do need to watch out, it gets tricky real fast.
Or you get lawyers advertising, did you get hit by a bus?
Yeah, you raised a great point. The board will have an opportunity to refresh that. It was not generating enough that was going to mitigate the exposure. And so we also want to brand appropriately, where if we're all leaning in on, we're gonna have transit. We're thinking that if the transit looks like your community, then it sort of feels like you're part of it. But you're right, you'll have a chance to look at that.
The other part of that advertising policy, the outside's one thing, right? Because if we have really nice graphics and then some bright colored, but the inside, every new bus and most of the old ones have railing systems for all, you know, flyers and things like that. We really only use them for ourselves, but using them for work source and other community social services, right, is it's gonna be part of it, but hey, if you can make this size of poster. That we'll put it in there type of thing too, and that'll be part of the policy.
Have you ever, you know how New York has the subways that go this way? Have you ever been on the subways that go this way and like you get on them and I can remember getting on and it was Sedona advertising. And you got on and it was like you were sitting in Sedona with cactuses and
Oh,
everything.
inside.
Yes, and then the next one, what was it? I can't remember, and I told Ann, my daughter, I said, these like make you almost dizzy, you're like in there and you're like, oh my God, and it's the whole thing. The
So
entire,
what I'm hearing is
interior of the
you're
subway
not going
is
to be
wet.
on our advertising policy.
Probably. And I don't really care for the
Yeah.
subways in New York, but yes, no, it's across
Oh,
town.
yeah, that is.
They wrap the entire interior of the car.
Wow.
Just
That's
create a mood
fascinating.
in there.
Yeah, yeah, it's like I say, and that I was Sedona, and then I can't think of the second one where it was, what it was, but yeah.
But I think there was
Very.
like a legal case in Oregon about 12 or 14 years ago for somebody that wanted to advertise down in Lake County or whatever it was. I don't have the facts on this, but I just remember hearing about it, like, there's a legal challenge about, here's my money and I want to advertise, what is your policy, why can't I do it? And it was purely political.
And so was it like they had a lawsuit or they were just upset or?
I don't know, but I
I think they failed.
Yeah, the general protector is if you have a policy, it can be whatever a board approves, but if you don't have a policy and you arbitrarily pick at a director
Well,
type
of
level,
course.
that's,
I could see
that's
that,
what somebody should
sure.
have been,
Yeah.
yeah.
It has to be fair.
So do we have a motion for option number one? Because it seemed like we had a good amount of support there.
I move to approve option number one with color amendments as needed to fit the placement location.
I'll second that.
Very good motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Abstaining? Christine, did we count you in there? Did we get an eye from you? Okay,
I said aye.
all right, thank you. Passes.
Thank you very much. I did lose the bet. If it was unanimous, I have to get it tattooed on my. Right up here.
Nice.
I
job.
could do
That
the
is,
advertising on the top.
that is
Now I
a
can follow through on the-
endeavor.
Maybe you need to ask Christine to vote no for you.
I thought maybe you were gonna abstain, Christie, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't love it, but I didn't feel strongly about it. I'm so sorry.
Maybe you can get Christine your name.
Yeah.
She might be coerced.
So by the next meeting, we can expect.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And tattoo.
I have a tattoo artist for you.
Oh, boy.
Not even gonna
Yeah,
be
very
that, oh, yeah,
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, thank you.
please don't submit the invoice.
Yeah. That's-
Are you gonna?
Okay, yes, I wanted to, yes, so first, could we tee up the one pager for the strategic plan? I just wanted to reconcile, we will be coming back in September with an update on our strategic plan and what we've accomplished during the last or, first part of the year. But wanted to just draw our attention to why we do the thing that we do, how that is reconciling with the budget in terms of, we have 4 strategic pillars that we operate on. And just wanting to show you what that looks like here in just a moment.
The PowerPoint threw it off, so it's gonna take.
It's okay, no worries. And then we will start with the supplemental budget, and I just want to take a moment and say thank you again to Tom. He has been stepping in and providing excellent support, and I did have a chance to connect with Michelle. She says hello to everyone, and but super grateful that Tom has been able to provide his intellect and his time to this process. I did bring, because you may have questions that we don't have answers to, and if it has to do with the state legislature or the federal government, this is how we will be answering those questions. And so, how did I do on stalling? Great, okay, good, all right.
I'm just making sure the PowerPoint came back up really quick.
Look at you, okay, perfect. So this is just to draw your attention to the pillars that we operate off. So first of all, our vision is COIC serves as a catalyst to strengthen our region. And that can look a variety of ways depending on what it is that we're doing for the region. It could be expanded service, it could be that we're helping on a planning effort, it could be that we're just staffing something to make sure it gets done. The 4 pillars and then our mission. So we serve the diverse Central Oregon region by promoting collaboration, leveraging and aligning resources and delivering valuable services for a strong economy and healthy communities. And so that is the lens that we use. And then the 4 pillars that we have that were identified by the board. We do a lot around helping to shape regional priorities. A lot of that is through the planning efforts that we do, convening of discussions around whether that's broadband expansion, or that could be transportation, it could be working on a legislative something. Visible leadership and identity. This is a piece where we want to make sure that the communities know who we are in being able to provide them service so that we can assist in creating the mission, which is aligning resources, leveraging services and resources, and collaborating across those lines. We want to be the organization that's helping add capacity and just known as a trusted partner really at the end of the day and the beginning of the day as well, I guess. And then the next would be sustainable and growing funding. And so this is a piece where, as you all know, we are entirely grant and contract funded. The only unrestricted funding that we have within our organization is the $70,000 that we generate annually from the dues that all of our elected members pay in. And so 70,000 out of the budget that we have, that doesn't give us a lot to be able to leverage. But what it does do is it allows us to be really clear on what it is that we start or stop doing. And that is at the benefit of the members that are in our region. And so as we look at sustainable and growing funding, when we're getting ready to take on a program, we want to make sure that we're not just starting it and then we intend to stop right away. Could be, 6 months. When we make commitments to staff, we want to make sure that we're not fulfilling those commitments because we can keep doing the thing to the degree that we know that we have the funding. The other is that we want to stabilize the programs that we all know we're going to need. So transit's a perfect example. That program or service that we provide is critical to making sure that that's meeting the needs of the region. And so we are always looking, and you heard Bob talk about it, how can we do it better or less with the same outcome? And sometimes that it sounds like, well, that's really sort of shouldn't it always be that way? Not always, because sometimes it's just easier to throw money at it than it is to really look at ways in which we can be doing business differently. And so the current way in which using transit, again, that we are using our assets so that we can increase service, takes the thought into how do we use what we currently have to better the region, and that helps us get to that visible leadership and helping us with regional priorities. The last one that I want to share is a high-performing organization, and for those that have been on the board for a bit, one of the things that we've been on in the last 6 years is a journey of strengthening the organization. I, being a person that is visual, I think of it as we have a home and we've been living in it and we are now lifting it and putting a new foundation. And then we will set that back down. That means that we have been investing and looking into everything from all of our HR, all of our fiscal, all of our departments, all of our modernizing our organization, routers updates, server updates. We just recently went from servers from 2008. And so, I mean, we were talking about prayer in the office. If just those things go down, we just wouldn't be able, we would just be stalled out. And so making sure that we have behind the scenes the talent, the ability, and we're appropriately training and resourcing the team to be able to do the thing that the other pillars talk about. And then just wanted to point out to the values, we want to be accountable to the region and to the board. We want to be equitable in how we are, that we're not just always in with our community in Bend, that we are making sure that we are getting out and providing the same service in our smaller communities as well. We want to collaborate wherever we can. Most important, we want to be nimble because we know that things change really quickly. And we, as an organization, one of the things that's superpowered is that we can easily shift where needed. And then last but not least, we want to be purposeful, meaning that whatever we're doing is at the service and the purpose of the board. So with that, it's sort of just a mental sort of reset of why we do what we do as we get into the budget. And so, Tom, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I think that you are driving Kimberly. And then how would you, so we have supplemental budget first, so we'll go through that. But this is your budget. It comes to you with the recommendation from the budget committee as presented. So the supplemental budget does not have any changes, excuse me, from the original budget that was sent out. Nor does it have changes from the budget committee's review of it. It comes to you as is. And then the budget itself, for some of you who had been wondering, we did ratify our contract with ATU, which is our one union that represents transit. And the budget that you have is the current and most relevant numbers to use. And we will go through that here in just a moment. So Tom, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Tammy.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. So I'm stepping in for Michelle. I'll do my best to answer any questions that we have, and if there's anything we can't answer, we'll of course follow up afterwards. So before we begin with budget, I just want to go through the contents of the budget document. The budget presentation will be a high-level overview rather than a section-by-section review. And I just want you to familiarize you with what's in the budget document before we begin with the presentation. So, budget document, table of contents, so section 1 is just a summary, a narrative summary outlining the contents of the budget. Section 2 is our budget message, and this is a narrative that highlights all of the big changes of this year's budget last year. In section 3, it calls out the board and committee members as well as our budget calendar. Section 4 is the meat of the budget. This contains the budget for our general fund, which is a roll-up of all of COIC's departments. Section 5 will be a detailed look at the budget for employment and training. That rolls up into section 4. Likewise, section 6 is for community economic development, and that will also roll up in section 4. And section 7 is the transportation budget that again rolls up to the general budget, section 4. After that, we'll look at our capital spend for the coming year in section 8. And in section 9, we'll address our building funds. And finally, we'll close with our reserve funds. So with that out of the way, all of that is in detail in this budget document. And my presentation is going to be a high-level overview of all that. But before we begin, let's go through the supplemental budget and we will move on to the main. So this year, the landscape of our housing funding has seen some changes. Notably, COIC received $1.5 million from the state to bolster our housing funded activities earlier this fiscal year. The award wasn't part of the original budget, so this supplemental budget proposes a corresponding $1.5 million increase in allowable pass-through funding for housing. It's important to highlight that this adjustment specifically impacts pass-through funds and doesn't affect personnel services, materials and services, or capital budgets. Turning to our loan funds, we have a change to our EDA revolving loan funds. We're projecting around $13,000 increase in investment earnings. This is from higher than anticipated interest revenue. And consequently, we're proposing a matching $13,000 increase in charges for services within this fund. That adjustment is for the loan fund to cover its share of operational costs, allowing us to conserve other local funding sources. And that also reflects the growth of the EDA fund that has seen over the last few years, and the increase in workload that corresponds with that. In addition to the EDA fund, we have a small change to the local job creation fund. We're expecting another $2,600 of investment earnings in that, and we are therefore proposing a corresponding $2,600 increase in charges for service for that fund. Our loan officer is exploring and developing new programs for this fund, and that's going to require greater allocation of staff time than initially budgeted. And that is all the changes for the supplemental budget. Great, right? And are we voting at the end or after?
Sorry, just one quick second.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go through them one at a time, looking at this first.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
But I think if, well, first of all, are there other questions, people have questions about the supplemental budget?
Just wondering what what type of housing help this is
For that 1.5,
for the 1.5.
It's all pass-through funding for our support partners. Each one does different kinds of work in the housing realm. But none of it is retained within COIC. So these are,
Executive order funding that came through,
Like the
and then
shelters,
we,
Yeah.
yes, yep,
those types of things.
yes.
Okay,
So
so
it
housing's a
operates-
big. You have different things, different meetings, so.
Yes,
So shelter
this is
housing.
around the executive order homelessness emergency funding, and there were specific eligibility buckets that came in, and so this was something that was additional that we hadn't anticipated with the original budget. We were in this same space when we got that money, and so, but yeah, so, but not for us. Well, it is, we just administer and make sure, and then we also help on the reporting side.
Yeah.
And accountability.
Any other questions? So, you have something like that?
no,
So on page 35 of the packet is, at least when you're looking at it on. It's attachment E, that's the actual resolution. We need somebody to make a motion. Using that language.
And what we can do is we can have someone make the motion of the language that is on attachment E. Yeah. If someone, so, because it needs to be specific to the actual amount. And if you're more comfortable, we can read it out loud as well.
Yeah, I might have that. Yeah.
Would you like me to hand it to you?
Yeah, sure.
71 is the first one, and then 72 is the second.
Excellent, thank you.
So would you like me to read the entirety, or can I just pass the resolution number and the title of the resolution?
That's just fine.
That's
Yeah,
sufficient?
that's sufficient, thank you.
All right, so I make a motion that we adopt resolution number 371, a resolution adopting the supplemental budget. The amount of 1.5 million in general funds and 15,531 in special funds.
Is there a second?
Second.
Counselor Abbey, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay. I think it was unanimous.
Yes.
And then we also need 372 as well. So,
Yeah.
All right, I also make a resolution or make a motion that the board adopt resolution number 372, a resolution making supplemental budget appropriations.
Second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstaining? Okay, it passes unanimously again. Perfect.
And we're capturing you, Christine.
Thank you.
Right, so I think you're gonna keep going on them.
Yep.
Have the open public hearing, so. Presentation.
Yes.
okay. All right, let's look at 25-26 budget. This is an exciting one. So this budget presents COIC's proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year in 25-26. It reflects our ongoing commitment to regional growth and outlining future opportunities. The budget developed by COIC's fiscal and management team is based on historical trends and potential development. It establishes the maximum approved expenditures per category as determined by the board of directors. And it represents a forecast of possible financial activity, acknowledging that not all proposed plans may be realized and unexpected needs may arise. The budget committee and COIC's board are responsible for reviewing and approving the budget's reasonableness and maximum expenditure levels for the following categories. Our general fund, which consists of,
Pardon me, Tom. Yeah, I was just asking about, the agenda item, and that's, May 2nd Budget Committee meeting, which is a joint meeting with our public members of the Budget Committee. Now, this is the board meeting
Right.
budget.
Okay, so that's the
Public hearing.
period that's in here. Included.
Oh,
But
that
I
was-
thought we
sorry.
missed a few of those.
Sorry, no, sorry about that. So the budget books were prepped. That is the agenda from May 2nd, which is the budget committee meeting. So my apologies, that was taken
No
out.
worries.
Sorry.
But that can be, I mean, maybe you're gonna get there, but just acknowledge that there was, the budget
yeah.
committee meeting was held on that day too. So is that part of the presentation then?
the
Yeah, okay,
agenda
so-
for last meeting.
So we have public members of the budget and the executive committee is part of this,
Yeah,
is
so
that
we-
budget
And
committee.
the recommendation from that group was to adopt the
Yeah.
budget as proposed. There was one consideration was depending on the outcome of the ATU contract negotiations, but might have to make some kind of adjustments, but
ended
didn't
up
need
not
to do
needing-
that. What was in the budget aligned with what was adopted, so budget is presented and recommended from the budget committee is consistent with the outcome of the union negotiations, so it's good.
And we have, just as a quick flyover, we have 10, as a reminder for some, but we have 10 members. 5 members are the executive committee, which are the 3 commissioners, as well as our chair and vice chair, which would be from Redmond and Bend. And then we have 5 citizen members that are appointed as well. One of those is for Core 3. So that is the large project where for the Response and Resilience Training Center, that they are part of our budget because they are currently developing that under our ORS 190. And so in that agreement that we have with them, the only point in the budget that they have authority to either negate or change is the Core 3 budget, because they've been appointed by their own executive committee to be that representative. And then we have a member from the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs, we have a member from Crook County, member from Redmond, one from Jefferson County as well. So the first time we had the fully loaded team and good broad representation from the entire region.
So
So,
this is the recommended budget from that
Yeah.
process.
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Here we
thank you
go.
for that.
Now we're
We go
understanding.
back to go forward. Thank you
Yep.
for that. Yep.
Yeah, so fortunately, we had no changes with those union negotiations. So the budget that we're bringing is the same budget. And this is gonna consist of a budget for our general fund, which is personnel services, materials and services, our capital outlay, debt service, operating contingency, and fund balance. And then it consists of our special revolving loan funds. That's our new business loans, charges for services, and operating contingency, which is our cash available. So while this budget includes projects that may not be implemented, it's our current best forecast based on the information we have. And hopefully it will provide some flexibility with the uncertainty that we're seeing. So with that out of the way, let's dig into the meat of the budget. We are proposing a $66 million budget for 25-26. That's an 8% decrease. That's an 8% decrease from the prior year, primarily due to uncertainties in state and federal funding. Despite this reduction, the budget remains higher than pre-pandemic levels, reflecting our significant service growth. Key priorities for 25-26 include continuing efforts in housing and addressing homelessness, advancing the Core 3 Resiliency and Emergency Response Center, expanding public transportation services, and supporting youth education, workforce development, and rural capacity building. Upcoming this year, we're going to be rounding out our department staffing, investing in employee learning and education, and looking at our compensation structure and our salary schedules.
And just as a notation there, as a reminder, so we are relatively archaic in the fact that we have 12 grades and 20 steps. And so our organization is going through a process of looking at how we evolve that. Our union is structured very differently, but all of our counterparts that really would be out of sync with most local government at this point. So we likely would be better suited around 10 steps. And then we need to not just have, we probably need 25 to 30 actual grades that we would plug positions into, so that we are, especially for paid, it's a paid, thank you, paid equity, thank you. So we want to make sure that we have the ability to hire into those positions and not run afoul of, all the positions are the same. We know that they're actually not, and it allows us to differentiate that in a better way. So.
Okay, so looking at the departmental budgets, the transportation department budget, the transportation department share of the total general fund budget will increase this year to 54%, and that's a 10% rise from last year. The economic development department share will decrease to 35% from 46%, and that is primarily due to a potential reduction in state housing and homelessness funding. As the model is shifting from, building it to sustaining it. And finally, the employment and training department will see a slight increase from 11 to 11 from 10% last year. So let's look at each department. We're gonna start with employment and training. The employment and training department anticipates a 10% decrease in staffing, reducing its full-time equivalents by nearly 5 positions. This department includes both the adult workforce and youth departments. The adult workforce department expects a reduction of 2.1 FTE, bringing them to a total of 11.07. This is due to a combination of attrition and a budgeted vacancy, largely in anticipation of reduced funding in 25-26. The department assists adult clients and employers with job placement, training, resume development, and coaching, and is funded by East Cascades Workforce Investment Board and the state of Florida. The youth department is projected to decrease by 2.74 FTE. Employee departures and the anticipated conclusion of some program funding mean not all positions will be refilled. Future staffing levels for this department will depend on upcoming grant award decisions. That part has an FTE of 9.35 with budgeted revenue of 1.6 million. Our expenditures consist of 1.2 for personnel and 303,000 for materials and services. And the youth education department carries an FTE of 22.5. The budgeted revenue for youth education is 3.6 million, and the expenditures consist of 3 million in personnel and 682,000 in materials and services. Youth workforce development, youth workforce department funded by the East Cascades Workforce Investment Board, the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, and contracts with regional school districts provides work readiness training, internship placement, and work training programs for youth. COIC's alternative education program assists youth with credit recovery and GED attainment. These services are provided to most local school districts and the Juvenile Justice Center. And finally, the department also provides teaching staff for the Oregon Youth Challenge Program and the Heart of Oregon Courts Program. And turning our attention to economic development, COIC functions as both the Council of Governments and an economic development district. The economic development district, the economic development department comprises the community economic development department and the small business loans department. While the small business loans department FTE remains similar to last year, the community and economic development department is projected to be decreased by approximately 2 FTE. That's an 11% decrease from last year. And this is driven by a decrease in FTE in the homelessness program. So the department is going to go into this year with an FTE of 13.87 and projected revenue of 22 million. We will spend that $2 million on personnel, 9.2 million on materials and services, and a lot of that is passed through for the housing and homelessness program, as well as our wildfire programs. And then the capital outlay of 10.6 million is related to Core 3, which is one of our major projects. The Community and Economic Development Department supports the entire Central Oregon region and receives funding from various sources throughout the year. Our key programs include housing and homelessness. Regional housing and homelessness funding for this year emphasizes sustainability. While it is a decrease from the one-time investment funding provided last year, the budget prioritizes maintaining base operations and supporting the existing homeless response network. We're carrying forward 1.9 million in previously awarded funding from fiscal year 24-25. Core 3, another one of our major projects. This year, the initial construction stages of Core 3 are expected to begin. The project is budgeted for 10.8 million, with nearly $200,000 for staffing costs and 10.5 million for capital design, engineering, and construction. And when we finish this budget year out, that project's going to be shovel ready. So that's really moving forward. And finally, for CED, our regional needs funding. This department is requesting $40,000 in jurisdictional dues, which is what we typically request every year. These funds are critical for the department. It's what we use to write grant applications and provide local match for the grants if that's applicable. Our member jurisdictions, as Tammy said, contribute a total of $70,000, and $40,000 is coming to, or we'd like 40,000 to come to CED. In addition to that 40, we are also requesting a $12,000 allocation for a staff training fund available to all departments, as much of our funding is not allowed for training expenses. Many of our grants, the funding is specifically for that task, and we can't use that for general staff training, either in CED or other departments, and that's become a challenge in the last couple of years.
And that's one of those pieces going back to strategic planning, how we are strengthening that foundation and making sure that the talent that we have remains relevant and trained to be able to do the thing that they're doing.
All right, looking at loans. So the loan program's 25-26 budget is 1.24 FTE. That's flat from last year. We're projecting revenue of 243,000 and expenses of 243,000. That 243 is going to consist of 201 in staffing costs and $42,000 in materials and services, which is mostly software for our loan officer. Next. We have 3 loan funds. First is the Economic Development Association Loan Fund. We expect slightly increased outlays in this fund, higher principal repayments from recent new loans. We expect to boost our investment earnings, but reduce the loan interest we're collecting. We expect to have a 3.5 million budget with 1 million in new loans, $179,000 in charges for service, leaving 2.3 million available in case we go through the 1 million in new loans. Our USDA IRP loan program is pretty consistent with last year. New loan originations are projected to be flat. The fund has a challenging requirements. And we also have a loan on this fund that we took out a few years ago to fund it. So we're very conservative with it. We're looking at a $1.2 million budget for the IRP. That's expecting $250,000 in new loans, $2,200 in charges for service, and our debt repayment is $110,000 a year. That would leave $857,000 available for additional loans if we go through the 250. And finally, we have our local job creation revolving loan fund. The overall activity here is budgeted to increase, driven by new loan generation. We need more interest revenue. However, principal payments we expect to decrease because of numerous payoffs on small COVID-19 loans. We're expecting a budget year of $275,000, $25,000 in new loans, $28,000 in charges for service, leaving $222,000 available. The charges for service on this are pretty high compared to the activity that we're anticipating. Our loan officer is going to be working on developing some new loan programs. So we've budgeted a lot of extra time for him to be able to do that. We're looking at perhaps a microloan thing and exploring other options.
So if I may, so this part of the department is part of the 25-26 refresh. We had a complete overhaul about 2 years ago, and then we've just sort of puttered along. And so a lot of focus from the board in wanting to see how we can invest these dollars differently and in a way that's maybe a little bit more meaningful in terms of gaps within the.
Okay, looking at transit. Cascades East Transit projects a slight 2% increase in budgeted FTEs, approximately 1.85 compared to last year. This increase is primarily for drivers. It supports the goal of restoring pre-pandemic service levels and adding new routes, as previous expansion efforts that were hindered by hiring and supply chain issues have eased. CET manages public transportation for the entire Central Oregon region. While daily bid operations are contracted out, CET internally manages rural services, its call center, and marketing. The department also oversees the veteran program and non-emergent medical transport, funding these services while contracting most rides to private providers. The budgeted revenue for CET is projected to rise by 3.9 million, or 15%, mainly due to increased capital expenditures and some staffing increases. Progress on expansion is now being made with improved driver hiring and vehicle arrivals. And our key funding for this is the FTA, ODOT, and STIF funds. So we're looking at an FTA or FTE for transit of 91.22 and a $31 million budget for that department. They're gonna spend that on personnel services of 10.6 million, 9.5 in materials and services, and 10.9 in capital outlays. Now, of the materials and services, 4.9 million of that consists of contracted services. And that contains Ben's contracted services, which is $3 million, our commute option van pools for $500,000, and our Medicaid and veteran rides, which we expect to be about 715,000. We also expect to pass through 470,000 to the Opportunity Foundation, Pacific Crest Bus Lines, Central Oregon Breeze, and the City of Sister for their programs. Turning our attention to the building funds, COIC owns both the Bear Creek and Hawthorne Station buildings in Bend, as well as the Antler and Kalama buildings in Redmond. For these properties, the budget includes $273,000 in anticipated revenue from rent and interest on the fund balance. Our expenditures are budgeted at $75,000 for repairs and maintenance and $84,000 for debt service for the note on Bear Creek. And finally, administration. Administrative FTEs are allocated to each department proportionally based on the estimated workload for those departments, and therefore not listed separately here. We're presenting the admin budget separately for review, but this is all rolled in proportionally to each department's budget. This is just to kind of give a picture of what that overhead looks like. This year, the budget has increased to 2.3 million from 1.9 million last year. This 2.3 million budget consists of 1.8 for personnel and 554,000 for materials and services. The increase in the personnel budget is driven by higher benefit costs and filling of some open positions. The materials and services budget has decreased slightly due to the conclusion of some one-time costs budgeted in the 24-25 fiscal years. And if we look at our admin budget in the context of the overall COIC budget, it represents 3.4% of our organization's budget.
Which is pretty extraordinary.
Quite-
Yeah. Yep.
And that concludes my budget presentation. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. Are there any internal controls in place to ensure efficiency and eliminate waste associated with unused license that might be paid for, or dependencies and project workflows? I'm not talking about third-party audits, I'm talking about internal controls, and what's the frequency of that to identify areas that could be improved.
You're talking about perhaps like software licenses that we've had employees leave and then just kind of sitting idle?
That's one acute example, but I think the question is more broad related to the internal controls of the organization that maybe managers have responsibilities for, or the accounting team has responsibility for.
Yeah,
Or there's things on the transportation side as well.
we don't have an overarching policy, but as you mentioned, each department head is responsible to review that. It's also something that as fiscal administrators, every bill we pay comes through us for approval, in addition to the relevant people in the department that generated that bill. So it's our responsibility on a case, on a invoice by invoice basis to look at that and determine whether or not the cost is still valid. So while we don't have a general policy, it is handled by each department manager and us as fiscal administrators. I would say, I'd mentioned the IT thing. The reason I brought that up is our IT contractor does have an annual review of our licenses that we go through to ensure that they for licenses that are not valid.
The other layer is that through requisition of requesting an employee or having an employee transition out, it's part of we have a checklist. And so that's where we would capture what do they need in terms of their access to different licenses. And then conversely, when we are departing, that also is something that we would capture on that requisition sheet. But always open to other ideas if there's another, if you know of another way or something else that would be a process improvement.
Just questions, right?
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah.
And then maybe a follow-up to that, and this is probably maybe more appropriate for the budget committee that probably already looked into this, but you had mentioned sunsetting surface from 2008, so it sounds like there's a big win with going through the asset list and identifying that these were probably outdated and maybe we need to make some improvements. And so is there an ongoing review of age of assets and depreciation of them, and then identifying needs for new capital investments?
Yes, and we have an asset management, and I forget the name of it. But we have a new
Asset Works.
thank you, okay, well, okay, but too bad it's not trickier than that. We asked that works to help with that because we didn't. And the other complexity is, as you might imagine, there isn't a grant that we could write for a server.
Yeah.
And so again, having an organization that's entirely grant and contract funded, the organization for good reason didn't have, and now we are better in terms of being able to structure our budgeting in a different way for other reserves. But it really was sort of like oh no, we need a new one and now we haven't been planning. We don't want to be in that space. So with Asset Works, it helps us with everything from any assets that we might have, a vehicle on down to a computer
Right.
to so I think that was last year that we bought that in last year's budget. And that's one of the things. So great question, and it's a work in progress.
Sounds like there's been some great progress in the last couple of years.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I'd say the house is still hovering over the foundation. We're not quite ready to set it down yet, but yeah, all of these are great questions, because first of all, it helps us know we're on the right track. And the other is if there's a gap there that we haven't thought of, I'd much rather have it brought up than have it be a surprise.
Thanks. I'll build kind of off his question specifically related to some of those assets.
Yeah,
I'm looking at 4-3 in the budget finder under the capital outlay section. Current year budget, we have 180,000. Prior 2 years spent 9 and 73,000, and there's nothing being proposed in the upcoming year budget. Was the plan, and have we spent that 180,000 on computers and software this fiscal year? And you're not anticipating a need to do so at all this next year?
Yeah, I mean, this year has been really, infrastructure heavy as far as IT needs go. We had funding this year and we really ran with it. So a lot has been upgraded, not just the servers, our workstations, monitors, a lot of, our IT situation was kind of rough. So when we had an opportunity to fund replacing this stuff, we really jumped on it. And so there's really, we have some spares in there. So of course, we might have some staffing changes where somebody might need a new laptop. But we have that in our back.
You have the spare, so you wouldn't have to go purchase it.
That's correct.
Yeah. And then we would use, we use interest income, we use, I'm sure you get scrappy too.
Yep.
So but we don't anticipate, we feel really good, about where we are right now.
And that is just the capital side, right?
Yeah.
Like we contract out for IT services in addition to our IT guys, so there is gonna be activity going on, just not. This is not a year for new
actual
equipment.
purchasing.
Yeah.
Nope, totally understand. The one other question I had was mainly, I think, in the loan funds. We don't have a lot actually in the appropriations for business loans. Most of it's sitting kind of in that operating contingency. Is there a reason or purpose behind that? Because when it's in that contingency, then you kind of run into the need of having to bring it as a supplemental budget for the board versus just having it appropriated or having the ability to go and make those loans. Is there a reason or logic behind that?
We just don't anticipate that we would be able to exceed those loan numbers, just kind of based on what's happened the last few years. The environment is changing and that maybe would create some opportunities. But we feel like we're putting some aggressive targets already out there. I would love to exceed them and have to come into supplemental budget. Because we need to get this money out the door.
Yep.
But realistically, I don't know, how achievable that is.
Yeah, I think that was kind of to the point that I'd rather see this money be able to go out and be loaned in various circumstances than just sit
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, we, with this money that's just sitting there. We are collecting interest on it, but we would rather collect interest off of loans that we put out rather than interest.
Right,
That's
and
where you were
loaning
talking
it
about
out to the
microloans.
community is
Right.
more beneficial for the region as a whole, right? Because depending on what businesses we're loaning that out to, right, that's then benefiting more than just our organization. We get the benefit of the interest payments and everything on that.
Yeah.
But it benefits the community and the region, which is the purpose of these funds, so. yeah.
Just something to keep in mind though, you can't, if you push all of it out on day one, your loan officer has nothing to do on day two.
Yep, absolutely.
And so, I mean, like,
We want Patrick to.
yeah.
You would love that.
We absolutely can do more than we are doing right now with that loan fund, and I think that's why we're talking about it, but yeah, we don't wanna bleed the fund dry in the first, we can't bleed it dry this year.
Yeah.
So we have to be very conscious about how we push those dollars out, but yes, we could push more of them out.
Absolutely, yeah, I mean, just looking at
But
like,
to be the devil's advocate, if the need is there and we're not providing, we're not,
Sure.
supporting that need, I mean, I don't foresee it going all out at once, but if we have that history of, that we're showing we're not being aggressive enough, I'd err on the side of being too aggressive almost, and not worry so much about, just twiddling his thumbs the rest of the year, if the need's there.
I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about though is if we're taking public funds to compete against private business, that's not the purpose of
Correct.
this.
Yes, correct.
And I know that having looked at the underwriting guidelines for these loans, we are competing with private business. And we are not playing in the pool that I think we should be. And I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think it's just kind of the nature of the program. But I do think that it's gonna require kind of a top-down, complete revamp. And look at it and,
And
Yeah,
that's why
and I
that's on
think
the horizon.
the reason I brought it up wasn't so much as to say, let's push it all out
Mhm.
there, right? But more so, do we necessarily want Patrick to have to come back? Right. And so some of these, right, to ask permission versus if we appropriate more now, then it enables staff to go ahead and do that when those opportunities arrive versus having to prepare that supplemental budget and bring it back to the board, which causes those delays in timing, which is very important. Right, so that was more kind of a concept. I mean, one of these on page 449 has 25,000 in that appropriation line and another 220 some thousand in contingency. It's like,
Yeah.
do we need it to be that, or should we throw another 100,000 into the business loan line to give Patrick that ability and access to it, right? Was kind of more of my
I
question.
think that particular
Right.
loan fund would be 100% agreement on. I think he's gonna struggle to get $1 million under the current guidelines and the.
Right, with the
traditional
4-7 funds.
Yeah.
Yep.
I almost wonder if we don't, the odds of us needing a supplemental budget are very good. Just with all of the uncertainty of what we anticipate from the state legislature, that I just would likely say that. It actually doesn't take a lot for us to bring a supplemental either. And so I wonder if we don't couple this with that discussion of then what's the right budget with the right program that actually gets to where we're actually investing the dollars in a gap area, which, as you know, these dollars are not they're meant to fill a gap and a void. And be leveraged differently. So would you be okay if we left it as is and we came back with a package?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to
Okay.
that at all, and I think to Councilor Nielsen's point, it's gonna be that top-down look.
Yeah.
All over, which, working towards having that committee
Yeah.
get together to do.
Yeah, I think we were still waiting on some folks, I'm not gonna look at anybody in the room, but we need your availability.
Kimberly promised she was gonna hold lock the doors until we had an appointment.
Okay, good, so.
Everybody knows that there's been sort of an ad hoc working group established to come dig into this loan issue, and it's John and then
Chris and Barb.
Yep, we've just
They're likely to come
struggled
back that
with,
supplemental budget funds. quick, right?
Yeah, we'll know a whole lot more. And again, it's not, if it's enough and we need it, then we, you know, it doesn't take much to prepare it.
Yeah, what I don't wanna see is you get to a point where, right, if we're
It
meeting
holds us
once a
up.
month, right, and
Yeah.
then if they have to wait a whole nother month.
Sure.
That's an impact, so as long as we look into it and get it changed over, and then in future budgets are evaluating that opportunity, right? And
Yeah,
making decisions as to whether it sits in contingency or in that loan appropriation item
yes.
ahead of time, that's what I prefer.
Yeah.
We would have more than 1 month's notice if we
Correct.
run into liquidity issues.
Sure.
So,
But the other piece, if we go back to what our pillars are in terms of who we are as an organization, sitting on money that could be lent out to businesses that are in need of it for the right gaps and et cetera, is really consistent with where we should be. So it's not lost on me that, and this program, it had been run the same way since the dawn of time. It needed a refresh. And so with COVID, we had a big pause, then we lifted it again, and now we just need to be more intentional. So that's why it's a small 1.24, not a large deal. But in terms of being able to leverage and really make a difference to small businesses in particular, these programs really could be that. So I hear you.
I'm glad this has been a discussion item, like in the budget process and everything. I mean, you guys have brought up great points.
Yeah.
And especially being in the financial world, you bring up viewpoints and ideas that are extremely beneficial. And so I love that you guys are taking a look at this and a little bit more in depth. I just think it's funny how sometimes we key on different issues in the budget. But this has been one that we've talked about, what, 3 different times now? It's but I think we got the vision.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get there. So good job, bring up this question.
Other people have other questions, I think.
So, all jurisdictions are doing a kind of an annual dues, which is those most flexible general dollars that are in this budget, and I don't think there's escalator for that in there. Is that correct?
No, there's not.
Yeah, so I mean.
Yeah, we're not
Every,
proposing.
we live in a very inflationary environment and, taxes are keyed into 3% and everything else is going up and down. So I'm just saying, this is up to all of us to, think about, is that, the right place to be? And 3 to 5%. Cause like our association of counties, AOC, if you don't do it, all of a sudden you're like, well, what happened? There's just a big hole in your budget. But if you do it slowly, you're filling it in as you go. So.
That's a really good point, because I don't think that any of the jurisdictions would wanna see a 20 to 25%
Yeah,
hike.
right.
Years down the road when COIC really needs it.
Yeah.
So I think everybody would probably, their organization would like that smaller incremental increase and plan for it versus that huge down all at once.
So we anticipate a board discussion about that, prepping for the next budget cycle. And we don't like big shifts, but it's been 70,000 as an aggregate since 2019. And prior to that, it was 50,000 for what I can tell about 15 years prior to that. So one of the questions for me is, well, what's our target? What are we hoping to do with that? Originally, the commitment in 1972 was that the 3 counties, I know, would get together and then they would pay for 1 administrative staff person. And so that person was going to be helping with some regional planning. If we were to take the premise of 1 staff person today, we still would be under significantly. But the other piece is we also partner with many of you, like if Marv were to say, we need you to come to Prineville and help us on something, we would partner through some of the dues. And also then asking our jurisdiction to partner with us for additional funding to offset. So there are a lot of pieces that go into that keep us from a big shift. But I love the idea of something that just sort of incrementally changes. And then the North 97 property that we anticipate actually building on, we hope to generate revenue from through some leasing of space and that sort of thing, which really could be a game changer for us as an organization to have some income that's coming in that, the counties had the state paying for buildings for a long time because you co-locate and they, help to pay for some of that debt service. So these are things going on in the old noggin that we will bring to you as a plan of how we're anticipating what that looks like. So.
I just want to reiterate how critical that $70,000 is for the organization.
Oh, man.
It's our only unrestricted funds. And you know, my department is CED and we get $40,000 of that. And that is so important to the department. I'm working on a grant now where we're gonna commit $5,000 of that and it will bring in $250,000 in grant. So we can't do a lot of that with $40,000, but that $40,000 generates a lot more than that amount. It's really important to our department.
So here's the
where's that
basket, we're
show?
gonna pass it.
Yeah, where's that show exactly? It's not mine, so.
Well, it's not a, like you're looking for an expense line.
Yeah, or it's somewhere in
It-
the revenue side.
Yeah, it's
Somewhere.
in the revenue and it's in it would be in the local funds.
that
So
page
it's
4
not
line.
called out on a, by itself in the line, but it's a component of the local funds.
So there's the Deschutes County portion sitting there.
Yep.
I think one of the things Commissioner DeVille brought up in the actual budget committee meeting, which I thought was a good idea, was to actually call it out as a line item. What are the dues that are paid? It did generate some controversy, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't quite understand what the controversy was. But I like the idea of being able to see exactly what each jurisdiction is paying in terms of dues, separate from fee for service or participation.
So next year we will have a table that will show that. The other thing that came forward was a better way of drawing out the investments that are being made in certain counties. If you look at it as an aggregate, our smaller communities are often overwhelmed by a lot of the things that go on in our larger county and cities. So how can we be more intentional? I don't have it all figured out yet, but how can we be more intentional either through our programming or certainly through the updates that you see? And it's called out better in the monthly reporting, but in the budget, how is there a way that we can sort of capture that investment? And so that you can see yourself in the budget instead of it just feeling sort of overwhelmed. Because we are intentional to a degree where some may say we don't spend enough time supporting our bend partners or maybe the shoots because we're assisting in capacity, augmenting capacity in other communities. So anyway, that was another really great reflection too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll be honest, you know, a lot of that probably finger pointing comes at me, but, you know, whether it's the housing committee or COAC or COIC, you know, beyond all these things. I think that Tammy's gotten to hear me become a broken record sometimes about where's the equity of funding, where's the equity of service, you know, for Crook County, for Jefferson County. And you guys have been doing a great job, and I just think that I want to give kudos because I have seen an intentional effort to reach out, and be presented options, or if we have services like, what are we doing right now? We're doing the strategic planning and partnering with us, to be able to do that. So, I appreciate that, but that'll be always something that you'll hear probably from some of the smaller campuses.
And if you're not doing that, who is?
That's it.
And so we want to
We're
be
here,
intentional.
we're here.
Yeah, and it helps you to be able to say that the organization that you are part of, here's how it's making a difference in our community.
Absolutely.
And for us doing the work every day, that matters a great deal. So, you know, it goes, I'm grateful. And Susie, in the meetings that you're not in, she's bringing it up.
I know,
So-
she tells me.
so, yeah.
I said I needed a little stick with your face on it. So I can just hold it up.
That's right.
It's my silent partner.
Any other questions?
Just one other item, so disclosure, my wife has a contract through COIC, which is, I think it's Ford Foundation dollars. And it's the Newberry Regional Partnership Visioning Project, that's Sun River Lapine area, so she does that as a contractor. She applied a couple years ago, just got selected as a contractor. So I'll abstain in the end here, just because, you know, my wife is getting some money, and I think it's about $15,000 annually.
It is.
There's a lot of overhead associated with that, so it's not even that much take home, but she loves doing it.
And we love having her.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful. And it was a public process and all the things, so.
With our parks grant and
Oh, yeah, that was yeah, that's when she got
Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
It helped us
Yeah.
with that, which we're finally somewhere, so appreciate that.
And after the meeting, I wanna talk to you about the county vision.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
We're a little confused about.
Oh, no, okay. Uh-oh,
No big deal. I need to touch.
okay, happy to.
Anybody else have other questions or comments? So the two resolutions we have for this, the two motions are in the two last pages of the packet at the very back. First one would be number 369 and then number 70.
Gabe does a good job on this.
Somebody wanna,
You want 369 first and then
I think so, yeah, that's.
Yes, please.
All right, I make a motion that the board adopt resolution number 369, resolution adopting the budget for fiscal year 25-26 in the amount of $66,114,237 general funds and $5,022,374 in special funds.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed?
I forget that.
Yeah.
Good job.
That's one of my.
I'll abstain.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Commissioner DeBonne is abstaining.
Hmm.
And then resolution.
If your bet was on this, then.
No,
you have to
it
get a
wouldn't get-
tattoo. No, unfortunately.
Did you have a card for the tattoo place? Good. We're very excited for the next meeting.
Dana,
I'm excited to see this tattoo.
Yeah, they're very excited. Yeah.
All right, I'll also make a motion that the board adopt resolution number 370, resolution making appropriations for fiscal year 25-26. There isn't a grand total, so I'll do the fund total in general fund of $66,114,239 and special funds total $5,022,374.
There's a second. Okay. Nielsen, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? And we have an abstention.
I'll stay.
Commissioner DeBonne. Boris.
It was good stuff, though. It was good.
Oh, and we were supposed to do public comment, but I'm pretty sure there's no public comment, right?
Our only public.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody was here, they said that.
yeah. Dana, do you have anything you
Yeah,
want to
there
add?
you go.
Bob?
That's your chance.
Yeah.
I'm excited to make that connection for you, Bob.
I appreciate that. I can't believe there wasn't one transportation budget question. I won that. Cool.
I know, absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe that nullifies then the tattoo.
I think so.
Yeah.
In that case, you can. I should have. I
Or
should
the
have doubled
neutral
down.
position. If you're right.
So the last agenda item is before the roundtable, the July meeting, and I think the discussion that myself and John and Tammy had, we do a little prep for these meetings, and at the executive committee, since we don't have any action items, we would just go ahead and cancel that meeting, but we will be getting a financial update.
You will, and update from the department, and we would just send that on its own first week or so, and then see you all in August.
But do you need a motion to cancel the meeting? Is that the appropriate or not?
I've never done a motion to cancel a
Okay, then
meeting,
don't
so
worry.
I would go with no. Yeah,
Perfect.
So our next meeting would be
Yeah,
on
sounds
Thursday, the
Perfect.
7th of August.
yes,
Perfect.
yep.
Okay.
Unless somebody else, sometimes those rules change. You all know I like Bobby's rules of
We
order
don't,
instead
no,
of
we
Robert's, so.
don't, we don't need to make any more
Okay,
rules. than we
all
have.
right.
I
Okay.
like that.
It sounds like you're all very free then the first Thursday in July. So
Go.
City of Madras, Jefferson County does a first Thursday event. So I expect to see every single one of you there.
It's the 3rd of July too, right?
It's gonna be a perfect time.
Well,
Good job.
Looking forward to seeing you all there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any other roundtable kind of stuff like that people want to share from their communities?
I just want to give a shout out to the fire district and the supporting folks who helped out the other day. Cause that literally was about $1,500 from my house.
Oh, wow.
And it was started by a farmer who was burning cheap grass off
Oh, dear.
off bay. And I am told that he has gone to every single house in the neighborhood and apologized profusely.
Oh, how sweet.
But it, I mean, obviously, everybody here knows the dangers of it, so just encourage your communities to look at defensible space and say a prayer for every firefighter you know and everyone you don't.
Yeah, you know, it's sad is people think it's still green and it isn't. It's very dry right now. Very dry.
Yeah. And it's a good call out for being ready. About how quickly it can happen.
Public safety thing, then we had the concern about mass event of some kind, a mass shooting event, and the family reported the individual very quickly, and we showed up and we were able to arrest this gentleman and then got one of the holds put on him, so didn't have access to weapons, so really appreciate, you know, the family actually stepping forward and notifying law enforcement that we have potential very serious problem, and then the response was swift.
It's very good to know,
Yeah.
or hear. I guess.
Right.
Very good
I
to
think
hear.
it was one of the situations where that particular file was particularly important.
One more item, June 18th will be the groundbreaking for the Redmond Airport expansion, so you may wanna, going forward, if you're flying out, you may wanna budget a few extra minutes.
A great one.
How long's that supposed to take?
Supposed to take or going to take? Supposed to take 2 years. So, yeah. But yeah, adding what, tripling the size of the whole room, we're adding 9 jet bridges. So you won't have to hoof it out on the tarmac.
HVAC and baggage stuff that you won't see, but
Yeah.
just but structural stuff.
Yeah, huge amount of stuff, and we had the committee meeting for the shops inside and space element of it. But there was a real push to try to find somebody local to deal with the kind of how the internal stores are managed, the restaurants and everything, rather than try to find like Tailwinds or some of the big corporate organizations that just kind of come in and they run all of the shops, but they just put different brands on them. We actually wanted to try to find somebody who's local, so hopefully we'll be able to keep with that.
Yeah.
So,
It's a great problem.
but
Christine, do you have something you wanted to share?
No,
No.
in fact, I need to skip out a little early. Well, I guess I should just say that, yeah, summer's ramping up and we're anticipating a pretty busy summer this year. Also we're just trying to stay on top of all the legislation and House bills, and how things may be affecting TLT. So that's always on our radar. We're always advocating for the value of tourism and our role for what we do for impacting the economy here in Central Oregon. So just trying to stay on top of all that too. But yeah, great work. Happy summer. I'm sorry I'm not there in person with you, and I will be seeing you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
So, in total, we are getting ready to use our park planning grant that I was talking about that Catherine helped us with, and so we're actively working on that, and then we also, the 21st of this month, we'll have the summer kickoff. We had done the spike and rail in the past, and the date on that changed all over, so we're gonna do like some smaller events. We're doing a summer kickoff. June 21st.
Solid waste siting. I know Mike, you're on our solid waste advisory committee for citing the landfill. But so we took a step back. So this is kind of a Deschutes County thing, but it matters. Hopefully we're gonna select a spot or two. You'll be doing it before I do.
I'm not on it anymore.
Oh, okay, so you're not. Yeah, okay, that's good enough. But so for the cities though.
You got dumped?
No, thank you very much.
He escaped and I got drafted.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You want it?
Yeah, I got.
See, I'm not even up to speed. But so, but this is serious. It'll happen pretty quick, maybe this summer, where something else is gonna be pointed to. Cause that is, what happens is you put a map out, you point to something, and then everybody gets all wound up, so that's gonna come around again, and I'm looking forward to it. It's really important for the cost of solid waste for disposal over the long term. Because we have our good friends at Waste Management and Republic, and they do great services, but they want us to sign up for their regional landfills, which is a couple hour drive from here. We could be sending multiple trucks a day up the highway, which is bad for the environment and everything. But then we lose control of the back end costs, because they'll give us a good deal for the first 5 or 10 years or whatever, and then all of a sudden we'll be at their mercy. So, as I say, not that they're bad people, and that's the business model, but it's really gonna matter for us in Deschutes County if we can site a landfill.
If Enter Bend, we opened up that intersection that's caused so many problems. In 3 of the 4 directions, a little bit ahead of schedule and right on budget, so that's good news and kind of relieved a fair bit of the congestion, at least for 9 months or so. We're gonna close another one for an even longer period.
You're also getting a Whataburger, right?
We're getting away.
A Whataburger.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good too.
And a burger bell.
Burger Bell.
A Burger Bell, that's-
That's a big. Any
I figured Seth would bring this up, but since he didn't, I will.
So it's waiting on you.
Madras in Jefferson County just finished getting through the large lot program and have 196 acre sites that is done. It's through the process. This is huge for the community and very exciting to have this available in the industrial section.
Is that the north end? We've heard about that.
Yes, we've been working on it for about 3 years. And this has
Yeah,
been
there were
a
people that said, I've never
long
heard of this, and
process.
was freaking out.
Yes.
So I just
Oh,
in
yeah.
the meetings.
Yep. Yeah, there's a 3 year long process, countless hours of work of staff, council, the commissioners. So very excited to have it through the process and hopefully we can start getting into conversation soon and look at having that developed, because that'll be huge for the community.
And getting it promoted so that the right businesses can come and be aware of it. And propose their ideas and offer their, offer what they deem it's worth, so. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a huge opportunity for the county and the city of Madras. I mean, the potential is big, so, there's not very many, as most people aren't aware of, there's not very many large industrial lots like that that are of that size, and there's certain businesses that, all right, say can only operate in that size, and so, it's unique and it's needed, and we have that opportunity. And, it was before my time as a commissioner, but, they took advantage of that opportunity. It's gonna, I'm just gonna go out and say it's gonna have a big impact on this. And, provide hopefully a lot of finances, so we're not just fighting over scraps in our county anymore, that we can actually start doing some things that we wanna do for our community, so.
I hesitate to bring it up.
I was wondering if you were gonna bring this up or if I wasn't gonna say a word.
Well, because that been down to you yet.
Yeah.
There's a couple of resolutions been working on. One is to increase the urban growth boundary in Prineville in order to create a space for a biomass facility. And it's met with a lot of public complaint. A lot of it saying that they didn't know anything about it, even though it's been in discussion since 2019. And so we've had one public hearing, and I think too that it probably needed more notice. So we had a second one and 4 hour meeting. And we listened to everybody for as long as they did talk. And a lot of it had information that wasn't accurate and assumptions, things that you typically run into. And so now we've made a motion that we take the time to develop groups and talk some more about it. I admit I voted nay to do that because I thought we'd already had one meeting and it was too short. The next one, it was long, and I thought, okay, we've gone through the process, so how long do you continue to go through and seek out public opinion before you make a decision? But when it was all said and done, I got home and I thought I should have voted yes. But you want to make sure everybody's have their say and they go away satisfied with the chance to have employees. So anyway, we're in the process right now of developing the process, having committees get together and talk about it, so.
And I went to that meeting and I thought the city of Prineville did a very, very good job, the way it was handled. And I do feel that the people were heard. And so I do commend you on the way that the entire process of how it was done. That was done very nicely.
Our staff did a great job of presenting.
Yes, everything about it was done very, very nicely. So
Our
everyone
attorney
should.
was there, to answer some questions and, keep things on that.
So actually the county looks really good because the city's taking all the heat, so.
Be careful how you say it.
Here in Quick County, because the city's the one that's getting all the stuff.
She'll change her attitude, city approves it.
Yeah, then it'll be my time.
That'll be your turn.
But
I think
they did a good job.
Next winter, I assume is gonna be an operational chip boiler up at Mount Bachelor that we were able to invest ARPA dollars into. I don't know the current status specifically, but I think it's coming up, it's gonna be maybe up next.
That was my
fall.
understanding, because when they pulled
Yeah.
the for sale thing, that they committed to that, and, I think some other improvements for the Northwest.
And that's gonna bypass all kinds of truckloads of propane that go up there. It's gonna be a couple truckloads of chips and then they're gonna be able to just burn. So that's gonna be good.
For their
example.
heating systems, right?
Yeah,
For the
it's a
water.
hydrothermal system. They already run the hot water. They just need to get it hot.
Do they use some of that water to melt off the snow on sidewalks?
Yeah, that's one of the difference.
Yeah, this is just replacing the boiler because they already have that system across multiple buildings.
You saw in the news, City of Sisters, we passed our defensible space code for new development. And we're gonna move on to, home hardening for new development. The challenge is gonna be when we get to our municipal code and existing homes.
Sure.
Finding an incentive, I've been watching this Jefferson County, incentive for, defensible space grant programs. Which I think would be great if we can do something like that in Deschutes County. And just trying to get people to be more aware and educated on this, but it was, quite a bit of deliberation to get through all this code just for new development. So we've got some work ahead of us, but it was a great accomplishment for the city.
That is.
We're all happy.
One of the things, I'm in county college and there was Hood Rivers there. And they require you to plant trees. As part of the remember, the street, the city requirements. But then the defensible space is not there. And it's going over the houses. And the one gal that was in charge of public works who was there said, and across the street are your unhoused who start fires. And so they are really going through this thing because they have these city requirements to plant the trees, but they're over the houses. And it was very interesting because everyone loves trees.
Yeah.
And of course, you want to be in a city with trees. And yet, here you have a fire hazard, here you have the people camping across the street. It was kind of a very interesting conversation, I thought.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
kind of a predicament.
CCNRs and insurance,
yeah.
and they're not always.
No, it's very
Alignment,
interesting,
and
and you think about it, and it is a beautiful setting. You don't want it, but it is over your houses.
Yeah.
It's a very
Yeah.
interesting kind of concept.
And speaking about insurance, the City of Sisters is down to 3 insurance carriers for home insurance, which includes fire rate. 5 years ago, there was about 15.
Well, if you live in Paulina, there's no insurance carrier, so there you go.
Okay.
Well, this is something that's being discussed at the state level, but if any opportunity you can to voice this. We have, whether people want to use the fire map that was created as an excuse or not, but insurance companies have been, in our area, Crooked River Ranch has been the main one that's been hit, but we've had people in Warm Springs and everything where. Insurance companies have been doubling, tripling, even quadrupling, or flat out canceling insurance. To people that have been in their homes for 30 years. And, number one. You gotta have insurance, but number two, you think about it, and one of the people presented to me, and it didn't even register with me at the time, but. If you go to try and sell a house, nobody can buy it, because there's not, you can't. Nobody's gonna lend to somebody without insurance.
Will require a homeowner's insurance declaration page during your application process. it comes to
Absolutely.
down my desk.
You know, and I didn't think about that aspect, because everybody's talking about, oh, my insurance got canceled, but then you get the people that are trying to buy a house or sell a house. And they've been on hot, I mean, some of these people have been 2 or 3 years now.
Or say
Where they're
you're
just
loaning
sitting.
to build defensible space.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't do that either.
And so anyways, it's a big one that, I know the fire map and everything on state level is being discussed, but it's the insurance process that, and these companies need to start getting pressure put on them. And I don't know what that looks like. It's not my realm, but at least be, you know, as you're in conversations with people that can make a difference or that have in your, make sure that you're talking about it, because it's a real issue that's hitting people really hard right now, especially in our county, so.
The town map's been seen, that's the problem, whether they take it away or not,
Yeah.
it's been seen.
Yeah, and so now,
That's the problem.
and now we're dealing, and that's it, and so the genie's out of the bottle, so now
Yeah.
you're dealing with the insurance companies, and so we have to, there has to be some kind of I don't know. But people higher than me need to figure that out.
We keep discussing affordable housing, building affordable housing. And I keep saying, we gotta talk about affordable living, because even if we get, somebody into that home, can they afford it?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah,
they
right.
afford to live there? And our insurance policy went up 45% this year. And I was told to be grateful for that, and I actually had to shift my attitude on it and go, "Whew, I didn't get canceled."
Yeah.
45%, and the stories are much worse than that, so I got
Oh, they're-
caught off lucky there.
You were very lucky,
Yeah.
because I 15 years farm policy, was told they have no appetite for my style of house. I have farm policy, but no appetite for my style of house, so, and I have tremendous defensible space. I have irrigation around, yeah,
But you think of a lot of our low income or fixed
It is
income
what it is.
residents.
they can't do it.
They can't,
No, you can't do
you
it.
can't triple somebody's insurance and expect.
Can't do it.
to
You're exactly right in your statement of can they afford the insurance?
And if
No,
something
it's-
happened, they would lose everything that they worked really hard for.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
We're hosting a community roundtable next Thursday for a couple hours. It's gonna be a combination of education and then discussion with, neighborhood districts about wildfires in general, prevention, resiliency, preparedness, all that sort of stuff. And I think, this issue we're here about.
They say the genie's, like you said, the genie's out of the bottle. They've seen it. Doesn't matter whether they throw them out or not.
It's also surprising how many residents speak about having lived through a significant fire in California. Camp Fire, heard about down in Southern California, that are moving here with that experience.
Yeah.
And which is helpful in many ways, also. It's, it can fuel some of the worst case scenario fear stuff as well.
But we did have the Aubrey Hall fire,
Yeah,
yeah.
Right, for those who've been around long for that stuff.
The
You're not
only,
saying
the
it all.
only thing I
Yeah.
had was I had Crazy Creek, Whited Flat, and Rail Ridge all surrounded, me, so see, I'm burned out. So I'm pretty good.
Oh, good. So Susie, in these conversations with the insurance and just underwriting, you was talking, and maybe this isn't the right forum, but is there any conversations associated with like why the insurance companies are doing this and tying it back to the forest management policies that they're citing when they're being asked why they're doing it?
All that I'm hearing is they say that you're in a high fire zone.
Right.
And so we're canceling your insurance. They're not giving an adequate reason of how they came up with that position. And so that's where people automatically were assuming, oh, you use the state's fire map because it just arbitrarily blanketed this entire community. And the fire map, I mean,
Was generated by OSU, by a computer.
great intentions, but when you have irrigated farm fields that are listed in high fire danger, or you have parts of a reservoir that are, it's like, there was some inaccuracies, and you could tell that it didn't dive deep enough into specific land ownerships. It just kind of did a blanket, we're gonna follow these topographic and unification zones and all this stuff,
Across the
so.
street from each other, exactly. the
Yes,
same.
yes, in my neighborhood, it's just like that, like literally in the middle of the block.
Lots next to each
Yeah,
other.
and so, but that's where people were assuming, and I would say probably rightly so, that insurance companies got this thing, and plus. With what they were dealing with California wildfires and all of the stuff that insurance companies have been having to deal with lately. they've just been really quick to say, no, you're too much risk, and, so that is gonna have to be addressed. I mean, it's gonna have to be addressed soon.
You know, they've got a pretty big crisis in California, they go for. So now the losses.
They're gonna
that
start
started,
with bankrupt. and
Yeah, yeah.
thinking it's like this chain reaction.
I have to think that we're gonna have to see a national program, the same as we did with flood insurance.
Yeah,
It's not sustainable for these private for-profit insurance companies. to do This, and so we're gonna be left with a national fire insurance program that is as arbitrary and silly as the flood insurance program. But it's the only thing that's sustainable long term.
let's see how that's gonna.
Yeah.
You want the April version, that's what the answer is.
Yeah, go ahead. Really says shake again.
Outlook,
For the firemen.
mix.
Outlook, mixed review.
Yeah.
Well,
That
on,
looked good.
Outlook,
That looked good.
well, I will bring up on a brighter note, because that was very, that was,
Pretty
brought the mood
close.
down, but, I will have the honor tomorrow night to, be on the stage at Culver graduations, handing as chair of the school board, handing my daughter, her diploma tomorrow night. So,
That is wonderful.
Yep.
That is so cool.
So hopefully I get to do my other two, but that'll be up to the voters, but yeah, that's a pretty cool moment for me. I've been looking forward to that for 8 years, being on that school board.
Thanks.
And she's valedictorian, so.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a dad joke or anything, and she.
Embarrasser.
That's my job. It's only
Yeah,
five
right.
anymore.
Yeah, you know, those are the years they get really embarrassed.
Although not affiliated with the City of Sisters, come to the rodeo.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
this week?
Starts Wednesday,
Oh, it
Wednesday
does?
night. Yeah, they added another night this year, Thursday night. I think all the story on the news last year with the bull jumping over the
Yeah.
fence. got everybody-
Yeah, a little press.
I gotta go.
The end of the month, we'll have the Crooked River roundup in Prineville. We're not quite as exciting, but maybe we'll have a bull jump, we don't know.
You party bus there.
Yeah, party
When
bus.
you get down with
Bob.
sisters, you
Yeah,
go to
there
Prineville.
might be some rules on that.
Maybe we need a wrap around with some Bronx something. There we go. That'll be our Prineville one.
Sisters Mobility Hub probably open June 30th too, not grand opening with ribbon cutting, but operational.
Oh, that'll be exciting.
Will that replace the one in front of Ray's, that
We'll
software?
probably keep that, but most activity, or like the Eugene and Salem buses will park at the hub now, but CET will still go in place.
All right, well, thank you, everybody, for that meeting. We're gonna adjourn this meeting of the COIC board. See you in 2 months.
2 months.
Good.